Okay, so I'm going to be discussing who I think are the five best basketball players, or if I had to pick a starting five to win a game, these are the guys I'm picking. I'm going to do my first team, then I'm going to do my second team. My opinions on this may change. I mean, it's tough to say. There's so many good players. Really narrowing it down to five is it's almost impossible, but I'm going to try my best. And let me know if you agree or disagree with my list. So, for my point guard, I have to go with Magic Johnson. Magic was about 6'8, 6'9. That's a huge point guard. He can see over almost any defender. Wasn't a great shooter, but was a great passer. Definitely a pass first facilitating point guard. I'm going to take Magic Johnson as my point guard. For my shooting guard, I'm going to have to go with Jordan. 6'6", can jump fast, use both hands. I mean, his fundamentals were really, really good. I mean, everyone looked at Jordan because of his dunking and his athletic ability early on, but the guy's fundamentals, if you really watch his tapes, he was so fundamentally sound. So I'm going to go with Jordan for my shooting guard. For my power forward, this one was hard for me. Um, I think I'm going to have to, again, it depends on the style of play. I think I'm going to have to go with Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan went to 6 NBA Finals. He won 5. He's a 3-time Finals MVP, 2-time NBA MVP. I mean, the guy could just do everything. Wasn't the greatest shooter, but Duncan was fundamentally sound. And Tim Duncan was a great defender. I believe he has 15 all-time selections defensive team. I think he has the highest. Then it's Kobe Bryant. So Tim Duncan is highly underrated. As a youth, I used to watch those Lakers Spurs series, and Duncan to me was one of the only dudes who could legitimately go at Shaq. Even though David Robinson was physically a lot stronger than Duncan, he was just one of those sound players. I mean, if you watch his tapes, and he had that bank shot, and the thing is with Duncan is he didn't rely a lot on athletic ability. KG was his counterpart early on, but if you watch Duncan didn't rely heavily on his athleticism. He knew the right time to jump to block you. He was a sound player. So I'm gonna have to go with Tim Duncan for my power forward. For my small forward, I have to go with LeBron James, just because I believe LeBron overall is the best small forward. Maybe Larry Bird is a second. And for my center, this one was up for grabs, but growing up in the 2000 era, I'm going to have to go with the prime Shaq. I used to go to Laker games as a child, and man, watching that dude as a kid, he was just so much bigger than everybody. It was scary. If Shaq had a better work ethic, I think he would be top 3 all time. I mean, can you look? Shaquille O'Neal scored over 28,000 points. I forget. I know he's in the top 10 scoring all time, but you have to think about this. This is without relying on a three-point shot and all those missed free throws. Can you imagine if he had a decent jumper and if the dude could hit free throws? He'd probably have 35, maybe even close to 40,000 points. So, I mean, it's just up for speculation. We'll never know. But, I mean, a prime Shaq was unstoppable, even without having a great mid-range game or a great free throw shooting percentage. He still was that good. So those are my all-time 5. Again, it's up for debate. For my second tier, all 5, for my point guard, I'm going to go with Steph Curry, the greatest shooter ever. And the way he shoots, it's him or Damian Lillard. I think Steph's just that notch ahead, but Damian Lillard is a close second. So I'm going to go with Steph for my point guard. For my shooting guard, I'm going to have to go with Kobe Bryant. I grew up in Los Angeles. Kobe was essentially a replica of MJ. He wasn't as strong as MJ, nor as fast or athletic. He didn't have those hands. But Kobe's skill set and Kobe's work ethic was probably second to none. The guy had crazy, crazy skills. If you watch some of his shots, there was a game, I believe, he did the whole game or a part of the game with his left hand because he had hurt his right hand. I forget what happened. And just look at some of his highlights early on. And the guy could jump too. He had about a 38-inch vertical. So at 6'6", he could dunk on most people. Look at Kobe's early tapes where he was getting above the rim. So, don't think that the guy wasn't highly athletic. And Kobe was a lockdown defender. I remember there was a play in Miami where Dwayne Wade was dribbling up the court and Kobe just decided to play him full court defense. And he just totally locked up Dwayne Wade. And you can watch the All-Star game. I think it was in 2012 or 2013 against LeBron. He locked up LeBron twice. He blocked him on back-to-back plays. And, he's giving up 2 inches and at least 40 pounds to LeBron. And he had a beautiful mid-range game. That he learned some of Hakeem's post moves, so some of those shoulder moves, head fakes, pump fakes. I mean, Kobe was up there. So I'm going to go with Kobe for my shooting guard. For my power forward, I'm probably going to have to go with Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett is criminally underrated. He was a great defender, great mid-range shooter, great defender. He just played a lot of years with Minnesota, and they could never get over the hump. Had he left Minnesota earlier and went to a contender, he might have 2-3 rings to his name. There was at one point, I think he was even possibly going to the Lakers. I mean, him and Kobe, that would have been super intense players. But Garnett, criminally underrated. Great shooter, great rebounder, great defender. He didn't need the ball to be efficient. Wasn't the best passer, but he could rebound and shot block with some of the best of them. So I'm going to go with Garnett. For my small forward, it's between Larry Bird or Kevin Durant. I'm not sure who I would pick. Durant is like a 6'10" sharpshooter. Larry Bird was about 6'10" as well. I mean, both great shooters. Larry Bird was definitely the better passer. I think Kevin Durant was a better pull-up shooter. Could dribble with the ball and just spot up shoot it. But I mean, I don't know. I had to put them as equals. I mean, it's really hard for me to pick. For my center, I'm probably going to have to go with Hakeem Olajuwon. That dream shake and those post moves were revolutionary. I mean, he was one of those first centers to revolutionize having a center with those types of skills. I mean, look at the tapes when he took David Robinson on that dream shake. He got him on 2 pump fakes, just beautiful. And I think Jokic is coming up there. I mean, again, the thing I like with these guys is they're not relying on a lot of athletic ability. It's just pure skill. So a lot of players, when they're highly athletic, as they get older, they kind of wean off. But when you have skills, you will typically last longer because you're not relying on that 40, 45-inch vertical to score points. You're relying a lot on your skills. Now, all these guys, compared to the everyday person, is far more athletic. And I'm saying unathletic compared to NBA standards because all these guys are super athletic. But, hey, those are my top 5. Let me know who yours are. And, hey, let's have a fun one. Let's do the 5 bet. I'm coming up with this off the top of my head. Let's say the 5 best players to have never won a ring. For my point guard, I'm going to have to go with John Stockton. John Stockton leads the league in assists and in steals all time. And it's not even close. He was a heavily consistent player. Gary Payton, I know, has said things like he was the hardest player for him to guard because John Stockton wasn't going out there to drop 25 on you. But you look at the end of the game, he might have 12 points, 15 assists and 7 boards. So he would kill you without you knowing it. John Stockton. For my power forward, I'm probably going to have to say, if I have to put a team to put them together, I'm probably going to have to say Karl Malone, just because obviously we know the two of them worked well. But Charles Barkley's right there as well. I don't know between Malone or Barkley in their respective primes who was better. They were both up there. For my shooting guard, this is going to be controversial because I know he supposedly plays a point. I'm going to have to say between Allen Iverson and Vince Carter. For not winning rings. Those two guys, to me, Allen Iverson, I mean, he took that 2000 team to the finals against the Lakers, who basically swept everybody. They're the only team that had given the Lakers a loss, and in game 1, he had 48 points. I mean, if he would have had help, Iverson he was a handful. I think Kobe Bryant said something along the lines of, it's a good thing something that Iverson isn't 6'5", because the dude was about 6 foot, and he was dominating in the era of bigs. This was an era of Garnett, Shaq, Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, Chris Webber, Rasheed Wallace. I mean, this isn't an era of big men, when big men were a focal point to many of their teams. And Iverson was up there. He was always, I'd say, a top 10 player for a long time. And yeah, he was a volume shooter, but Iverson could get you 25, 30 points any given night. So Iverson, definitely up there. Vince Carter again as well. During Vince's prime, I'd say from 2000 to 2005, Vince Carter, I think, averaged 25 points a game consistently for a 5-year stretch. 25 points a game, NBA levels, no joke. And Vince was crazy athletic. To me, the best dunker of all time. At least, just overall. I think some dunk contests, dunks were better, like Aaron Gordon's dunks were better. But overall, Vince, dunked on Alonzo. Vince dunked on legends. He jumped over that 7 foot gentleman back in the 2000 Olympics. I mean, he essentially cleared him. I mean, the guy kind of tilted his head, but still, crazy athletic. And Vince was a great 3 point shooter. Not Stephen Curry great, but he had a great mid-range 3 point game, and that's why he lasted, I think, so long in the NBA up until his 40s, because he could hit down those jumpers. So Vince Carter's definitely up there. For my small forward in the prime, I know technically he's not. Maybe he is. I'm going to have to go with Tracy McGrady. A prime T-Mac, I think it was an 02-03. T-Mac was giving you over 28 points a game, and he won 2 scoring titles in that era. And at one point, it was really between Kobe Bryant and T-Mac of who was better. T-Mac was just that good. And it's funny because he had an unorthodox style of playing. If you look at T-Mac, he looked very lazy. The way he would dribble the ball, he would look like he wasn't really trying. But that guy could give you 25 points in his prime. He just had bad health issues, and his career never made it to what it should have made it to. But a prime T-Mac was a solid player. For my center, have never won a ring, I'm going to have to go with Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing was a 20-10 guy any given night. He would give you fits. He just ran into the Jordan Bulls, and when he made it to the finals, he ran into a prime Hakeem Olajuwon. So running into those types of players, I mean, he just didn't work out. But hey, that's my list. Let me know what you all think. Again, there could be guys like Steve Nash we can mention as a top point guard. I mean, there's just so many great players, and all these guys put in hard work to get to where they're at. So let me know who your list is. Hey, let's do another fun one. Let's do with top 3-point shooters of all time by position. So with point guard, we have to go with Curry. Second to Curry, I'm going to have to go with Damian Lillard. For my shooting guard, I'm going to have to go with Klay Thompson. And then I'm not sure if Reggie Miller. Yeah, I think Reggie was a shooting guard. Then I'm going to have to go with Reggie Miller. So Klay Thompson, Reggie Miller. For a power forward, I'm going to have to go with Dirk and probably Larry Bird. Or Larry Bird, I believe, is a small forward. But, the guy was 6'10". For a center, who's a center who could shoot threes? I'm going to have to go with maybe Jokic. Who's another center who could shoot threes? Man, not very many centers. I mean, in this era, we're kind of in the 2024 era. Well, we're in 2024 now. We are getting a lot more centers who now shoot the 3 ball. But yeah, anyhow, these are fun lists. Top 5s are always fun. Let me know what you think. Let me know what are other fun kind of controversial topics. Like, let's just do another fun one. Top 5 controversial, we'll never know topics. If Jordan never retired in the 90s, would the Bulls had won 8 straight? We'll never know. What if he stayed up until 99? Could that 1999 team beat that 1999 San Antonio team? Giving Jordan, let's say, possibly 9 rings, 9 MVPs. And obviously, if you just add up his scoring averages, Jordan would have had thousands of points more. I mean, that would have been a legendary career. What happens if Kobe and Shaq never have their feud and they stick together? And Shaq has a better work ethic. Do they win another 3 rings together as the Lakers? Kobe kind of becomes the dominant force, and Shaq takes a second fiddle. Do they then excel and win? I don't know. Do they win 5-6 rings together? I don't know. What happens? What happens if Ray Allen misses that shot against the San Antonio Spurs? Do the Spurs win that title, and then do the Spurs come back the next year and win again? Or did the Spurs come back that next year, just super determined to win again after they had lost? How would LeBron's career had been affected had they not beaten that Spurs team and Miami wins 1 ring? What happens if Kyrie doesn't hit that shot and LeBron gets that block against Golden State? Does Kevin Durant now never go to the Warriors because the Warriors win again and LeBron has just another ring less to his name? What happens then? There's so many fun controversial topics to talk about because we'll never know. What happens when Jordan left and Pippen, I forget who he was. It was a Hubert Davis he was trying to block, and they call a late foul on him. Had that not happened, I believe the Bulls would have went to the finals. And what happens if the Bulls win in the finals without Jordan? Does that hurt Jordan's status that Pippen was able to win without him? What happens in the 2000 Western Conference Finals when the Lakers come on that tear comeback against the Blazers, and they go to the finals and they beat the Indiana Pacers. If they don't beat the Portland Trailblazers and Pippen goes with the Blazers against Indiana and wins again, was Pippen able to show, hey, I could win without Jordan? Again, these things we'll never know, but they're fun to talk about. So let me know what are other fun topics. And for those of you basketball people, Arvydas Sabonis would have been a dominant center, but I forget what the politics were with the country he was in. He was not allowed to come, if I'm not mistaken. And he came into the NBA when he was already older. So a lot of his prime was missed. This guy was basically like a Shaq, but could pass, and I believe he had a decent jump shot. So again, these are just fun topics to talk about. What happens if the Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Warriors in 2016? Does Durant stick with the Thunder? Do the Thunder go all the way, and do the Thunder beat the Cleveland Cavaliers? Again, fun topics to talk about. Let me know what you think. Hey, these are fun basketball topics. Go ahead, like and subscribe if you're finding the content useful. We'll see you soon.